Hey, how are you doing? Lucy here. I wanted to go over chapter 3 with you, and there is going to be a homework assignment that I want you to turn in on Wednesday, February the 14th, when we reconvene face to face. But I just want to show you some things here. I'm in your Canvas account, and I'm going to go to modules. So the next chapter we're going to focus on is chapter 3, Understanding the Marketing Environment, Ethical Behavior, and Social Responsibility. So let's look and see why this chapter is important. I'm going to look at the environmental scanning, different social forces, economic forces, technological forces, forms of competition, regulatory forces, ethical and unethical marketing decisions, and social responsibility. This chapter is important because it helps you to understand how there's these different uncontrollable forces in the environment that can affect your marketing plans, your product, and your company. And that's really kind of this chapter in a nutshell. But we also look at like ways that companies can behave ethically and contribute to social responsibility efforts. So I have several examples for you. Let's go back in. You have your presentations here. Definitely be reading chapter 3 either in your ebook or your hard copy or loose leaf. And you do have several supplemental resources here to enrich your overall learning of chapter 3's material. So be sure that you look through these when you get a chance. Remember, they all align with chapter 3's learning objectives here. Okay, so let's look here at your presentations. You have a PowerPoint presentation that's from the publisher, and then you have the Canva presentation that I created for you. So I'm going to go over this with you here as soon as it loads. And okay, let's see here. Won't be that much longer, and we'll go through this. We'll touch on the high points. So again, chapter 3 is about understanding the marketing environment. So environment is the key word here, ethical behavior and social responsibility. So these are the learning objectives again, and I know it's a lot of them, but really environmental scanning is made up of social, economic, technological, regulatory forces, and more. So essentially the learning objectives are just really breaking down environmental scanning into lots of several learning objectives, and then there's a few more in here about ethical and unethical marketing decisions and social responsibility and what that is and means to a company. So let's look right here. What is environmental scanning? Basically, it's just listening to the market. A company needs to be continually acquiring information about outside the organization to identify and interpret potential trends. So basically, it's just being able to listen to the marketplace, being able to forecast or predict any upcoming trends in the market or the industry that the company is working in, any product trends, any new competition trends, and just being in tune with that, very much like a piano's in tune or a guitar's in tune. You want to be very in tune with the market, your marketplace, whatever industry you're in. And of course, you can do this from any level of within the organization. So oftentimes, I don't want you to think, oh, we can't do this unless we're like a way up on the totem pole as super high manager or leader. Yes, you can. I mean, you can practice this type of intuitive, internal skill within yourself to pay attention to the marketplace. So some things are just uncovering trends that even consumers are changing. The consumer taste or preferences, it's important too. I mean, that's going to be important if your consumers all of a sudden are more interested in a competitor's product. Why are they interested in that? So let's look at these environmental forces more in depth. We have the main ones down here are social, economic, technological, competitive, and regulatory. So we have this graphic here on environmental forces, and of course suppliers go along with this, the organization or the company, and everyone within, and of course, customers. So everyone can be affected by this. But look here at your social, is going to be like cultural changes or demographic shifts. Economic can be like consumer income. So, depending on how much your product is, it's going to depend on what countries you market it to. I mean, you want the people there to be able to afford your product. Technology or technological, that can definitely affect your company or your product. I mean, technology is always changing, so this could have a huge effect on how your product is made or how your product is delivered. And all of those types of different areas where technology is associated with your company, brand, or product. Of course, competitive force. Yes, even small businesses can be a competition to like Target and Walmart. You don't necessarily think of that, but they could. If they're selling a product that you house in your organization or company, then they're a competitor. They're a competition to you. So you always want to be on the lookout for those direct competitors, the obvious ones, right? And then those not so obvious ones. And then regulatory laws can affect so much of a company and how they handle their product, how they make it, how they ship it or deliver it globally too. Are they able to get their product and move their product to certain countries? So these environmental forces are uncontrollable forces. So they're not like the four P's of marketing or the marketing mix made up of product, price, place, and promotion, which we can control. These are things that are out of our control. I mean, we can kind of manage them to an extent, but they're still uncontrollable forces. So let's look at an example of how environmental forces influence Facebook. When we look at social forces, this is changing as people look for new ways to communicate. So, I mean, that definitely influences Facebook. I mean, people are out there, they're looking for new ways to communicate via Facebook apps or social media apps, and definitely outside of the telephone or letters or, even email. Economic forces influence the demand for Facebook. So, as more and more people around the world are gaining access to internet connectivity and these types of, smartphones and iPads and laptops, and that can definitely have a positive influence. I mean, it could be positive or negative. I mean, it's depending on if that internet connectivity is there or not for someone, of course. But overall, it's helping Facebook, right? Okay, let's look at the technological advances in software integration. Server speed and data storage make Facebook increasingly fast and convenient. So, right, using technology helps to definitely helps Facebook. So, I mean, the easier that it is for the company in and of itself to manage its platform, to keep it up and running, that's going to affect Facebook. Now, let's see here. Competitive forces. This one is look at the rivalry. It's especially with like Twitter and Snapchat and all these other type of social media platforms where us as users have the ability to switch platforms very quickly and easily. Then this is definitely a competitive force because Facebook's wanting us to stay on Facebook and not move to Twitter. And yes, we have all of these accounts pretty much, but still, this is a competitive force. Legal and regulatory forces do influence the growth of Facebook because they have to obtain trademark and patent rights to its names and for many of its features. Let's look at social forces. So go back here and you see here the social forces area. This is the demographics of your customers and the culture in which they live. This, of course, would have a force. This would definitely impact a company because your product is only going to be made for a certain age group or gender or ethnicity, socioeconomic level, income level, maybe even education level or marital status, excuse me, birth order or occupation, and also the culture, right? I mean, you're not going to market your product everywhere based on the culture. For example, we're not going to go market swimwear to people in Iraq because, the people aren't, the women especially aren't allowed to wear that type of attire. So definitely the culture and what your customer looks like, the demographics of your customer greatly impacts your product and company. Let's look at understanding ethical marketing behavior. There are definitely, companies definitely want to look at how are they operating in the environment based on their business culture and practices, their corporate culture, and even societal culture and norms. So there has to be some sort of ethical gauge when making products, distributing them, and selling them. For example, 3M Company, which is a huge company, they came up with the Post-it notes. They are best known for having skunk work operations where they let employees be innovators and essentially entrepreneurs within that company. They let them come up with new product ideas. 3M has this product you've probably all seen. It's very popular, Scotch Guard protector. It's a fabric protector, and it didn't have any known health or environmental effects. However, the company did discover that the chemical appeared to um, kind of stay in human and animal tissue. So it's kind of got into your skin and it stayed there. They pulled the product and took a $200 million loss in annual sales when this happened. So this is an example of a company where they are behaving ethically and very socially responsibly. They were concerned about the health of the people in the community and even animal health. And so this is a good example here. Let's look here. We just got a couple more and then I'm going to let you go. Three concepts of social responsibility in marketing is profit responsibility. Yes, companies are need to be in the business, especially if they're a for-profit organization as opposed to a nonprofit like Goodwill or United Way, but they need to be making money. They have stakeholder responsibility. They're people who are involved with that company inside and out, consumers, employees, suppliers, distributors, everybody involved. The company needs to be responsible for them and getting them paid and keeping them employed so they can live and survive, and the societal responsibility to preserve the environment and the general public, as with what 3M did. And some chemical plants have gotten into trouble because they've produced pollutants that have caused cancer in people. So that was definitely not behaving socially responsibly, acting in that way. Here's another example. Procter and Gamble cause marketing efforts. For more than three decades, P&G has focused on supporting disadvantaged youth and disaster relief. And one successful campaign has been when P&G partnered with UNICEF to provide tetanus vaccinations to more than this is amazing, 100 million women and their babies since 2008. I mean, how do they do that? I mean, it's like, that's a lot of people, okay? And, but yeah, so this P&G, they are behaving responsibly. They are giving back to the world and the community. Um, okay, there's the references. And so what I would like for you to do is I want you to write a one-page summary. I want you to reflect on these learning objectives, and in your own words, I want you to write a one-page summary about Chapter 3. Bring that with you to class on Wednesday, and I will see you then. Thank you so much. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.